Welcome back to the I Want to Save Money YouTube channel. So I have been doing some plan with me's. I've been talking about planners lately. So I wanted to share just a little bit of insight that I don't know if it's insight, but just some thoughts I had about finding planner piece. So basically, I was someone who used to be absolutely addicted to paper planning. I always liked it, but once I started getting more into the creative side of it and adding scrapbooking or journaling to it or a ton of stickers to it or certain types of markers or pens that you really, really love to it, it just became this thing and it just kind of spiraled out of control. Next thing you know, I'm spending money on planners every single year, and they're not just the $10 to $15 planners, they're like the $50 to $60 planners, and I'm buying multiples of them because I feel like I need more than one. And it just became a thing. So for 2023, 2024, and 2025, I was in a space where I was like, I'm spending too much on planners. It's a disaster. I need to stop. So I did. I did just digital planning, and that was nothing short of a disaster. Nothing short of a disaster. Horrible decision. It came from the right place because I was trying to solve a problem, and that felt like the solution. And that's not the solution by any stretch of the imagination. So I put out a video recently about my 2026 planner lineup, and I'm already making some changes to it. But I will say I've already started working out of another planner for work, and it's been working beautifully for me. I've worked in the back of this for the notes pages, and it's been wonderful. I basically want to break down what changes I'm making and then talk about the Plum papers I might be buying and the decision that went into that, mainly for the reason of explaining how I decided what layout I wanted to go with and why that is so important to the planning process in terms of actually being more effective and actually getting things done. So I'm going to start with why I'm not using this planner. I absolutely adore this planner. It's great quality. This is such a beautiful planner. I'm actually kind of sad that this is not working out, but I am still going to use this at some point. So I have some creative projects that I'm going to work on next year, but I don't know what month I'm starting them, and it's going to be very, very sporadic. Like I might have a day off where I have nothing but meetings for this project, and then I don't work on it for another 2 months, and then I work on it every day off for a full month, and then another month off. So it's kind of all over the place. So basically I need a planner that's really for the project. And I'm not going to, let me just open this up. So this is what the planner looks like. I've already gone through and started redating because this is a 2025. I spent $20 on this. So basically, I don't really care that much about my monthly spread. I might even cover them up, and then I'll be using probably things like this to track my day. I'm not quite sure if I'll be using these, but there are several inserts that would be absolutely perfect for what I want to do. So I'm not going to throw this out, but I do want to explain why it doesn't work for me. So this is an excellent concept. You've got your month spread, you've got your weeks, you can easily flip through these here and still see your month, which is awesome. And then you've got habit trackers in the back right here and all of this space. So logically, this feels like the perfect planner. And I am very impressed with the quality. I think it's fantastic. I think I would absolutely spend the $59 to get, or $55 to get a full, up-to-date planner. But once I got it, I realized this was not going to work for me. And my heart sank and I was like, you know what? I've made the decision. I've got to stick with it. And the more I thought about it, I realized I'm not going to use it. I'm just not. This would be perfect for certain projects and things like that. But as a regular day-to-day, week-to-week planner, it's just not going to work for me. But what I really can't stand is having this little space for my weeks. I didn't think that would really be an issue. So basically, I would do my YouTube planning this way: writing, filming, editing, and uploading. And that would take about this much space because I want to leave a couple spaces for each. Then I would take my flags and I would kind of color code by which video I'm working on. And that way, let's say I have a flag here for Sunday to film, and then that doesn't work out, I can easily just move the flag. Because with YouTube planning, I was constantly crossing things out, and that drove me nuts. Now, in order to make that work, I have to cut these to make them the right size. And then, of course, if you're on Wednesday, it almost doesn't even work, or you have to turn it around. Laurel Denise has plenty of sticky note packs that they sell. And there are some that are quite small and seem to fit in these spaces, but they are all the same color. And that really defeats the purpose because I really want flags that I can color code based on which video I'm working with. So that's one of the main reasons that the functionality of this is not going to work for me. But also I might want to add some notes like right in the boxes. So this just is not what I need. I can repurpose this. I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm very happy with it as a product, but I realized very quickly it wasn't going to work for what I needed. So now let's get back to Plum paper. So I ordered a work planner from Plum Paper, full year plus 20 note pages, I think. I want to say the total cost came to like $55, and then I had a 10% off because I was a first-time customer, so I got $5 off. And I kind of had mixed feelings once I got it because the paper quality is not that great, and you can see highlighter from the other side of the page. That's the part that bothers me. So when it comes to my personal planner, I really don't mind using stickers or different color ink to kind of color code as I go in my personal planner. When it comes to my work planner, I set aside time to plan, but I need to be able to just sit down and get it done and move on about my business. So highlighter is really the best way for me to kind of color code things or make sure I notate what's important versus what can kind of be put off or isn't that important this week. I basically use the highlighter system to prioritize the tasks that I have. So if highlighter is going to bleed through to the next page, that kind of defeats the purpose. So because I can't really use highlighter effectively in the planner, I probably will not get a work planner from them. And the thing is, I did reach out to them and I was like, hey, will there be any updates to your paper quality? And after reading a bunch of comments online, I kind of feel bad because they apparently have upgraded their paper, because what people used to complain about was that it was basically way too smooth. I saw a video somewhere compared it to avocado, which is bizarre. And they were like, oh, I'm so glad Paper Planner updated their paper. Well, now the paper is too thin. And it's like, look, if this is like a $12 planner, it's kind of whatever, you know what I mean? But for only 6 months, not a full year, for only 6 months, your planners range from like $37 to $49 starting price before I pay to add another 6 months, before I pay to add any add-ons or any of the customization features that you offer, which is the whole reason someone would order a Plum paper planner to begin with. So I'm sorry, to me, that's a bit ridiculous. I am very happy to use it as a personal planner because highlighter is not as important to me there. It's not necessarily quite the deal breaker. But for my work planner, I want to use any type of highlighter. So anyways, they did get back to me. They gave me a list of things that I could use. They specifically said mild liner. Well, for mild liners, again, it's going to depend on the color. So I don't think it's reasonable for them to just say that mild liner is going to work. This one, for example, is brown. Like, yes, it's technically a mild liner, but if your planner has bleed through issues, this is going to be too dark. I can understand if like the darkest of the darkest don't work, but I'm disappointed. Anyways, what frustrated me about that email is that they basically blamed it on the utensil. It's like, well, some pens and some highlighters are just going to be that way. And it's just like, no, you're charging this much for your planner. You should be able to deliver a little bit more quality than that. Sorry. Now, how I organize things at work is very different than how I organize things for any area of my personal life in a personal planner. So I could use something like a Laurel Denise for a work planner just fine, so long as I had the correct inserts in there. So that will most likely be what I do for 2027. But for 2026, since I'm no longer using this Laurel Denise, I do need a planner. So I looked up their layouts and I was absolutely hell-bent on getting the me layout. And I was like, well, I don't know if that's really going to work. So let me just see. And I am so in love, you guys. I'm so in love. So basically, this is not how I would actually do this. This is kind of a smorgasbord. Like, some of it's stuff how I normally plan, some of it's not. I really just wanted to get stuff down on paper just to get like a visual representation of what it looked like. I am struggling to speak in this video. I'm going to try to finish. We'll see. It might not happen. So you have your calendar for the month up here. You have a list of notes up here, and then you have a little box here. Then on this side, you have 5 or 6 boxes. I think there's 6 for the A5 and 7x9, and then there's 7 for the 8.5 by 11. Then you've got your 7 days, and you've got all of these columns down here. So the X's for me, when I really start writing things down for different categories in my life, it starts to feel very overwhelming. And I find that I'm either over planning and then feeling frustrated because I didn't get it all done, or I'm completely under planning because I want to avoid that situation completely. So it's not very aesthetic, but having X's in these places where I don't need to do anything is really, really helpful. I find that to be a very helpful strategy in my planning system. My schedule can be a bit all over the place, but the past several weeks, Tuesdays and Thursdays have been when I was off, so that's why I've highlighted those rows as to my days off. For these boxes over here, you can also customize them. You can leave them blank so you can fill them out each month, or you can pay extra to actually put in what words you want in these boxes. So I kind of played around with it a little bit. If I were to go with the me layout, the 6 categories would be home, write/film, edit/upload, purchases, money, and credit. The main reason being, when I first did this one, I was thinking for 2027. I really was a little bit undecided about Laurel Denise. And at that point, in 2027 is really when I'm going to kick in a high gear. All the plans I have to try to save for a home. So that's why I have more financial sections there. So I was absolutely sold on this layout, 100%. I loved it. Then I was browsing the Plum paper website. They have like a physical order guide that you can buy for like $10 or something. Anyways, that same order guide plopped up as a free digital download. So I went ahead and printed some pages. So this is 2-sided days. So you have your calendar for the month. You have a little box up here. So basically with the mock plan that I did here, it was like, okay, this is the number one thing that I have to get done for this particular day. Have my tasks listed here, and then use the middle section for my notes. Would be great for a work planner, but since they have the highlighter issue, I don't see that happening. Because as you can see, there's a lot of highlighter here. So while I actually really love this layout, I don't do horizontal layouts that much, but this is something I could actually work with, specifically for work. But since you have the highlighter issue, it's not going to work for me. It's also just not going to work for YouTube planning because I want to take the flags and I want to have them moving across the week as I have my filming and editing and uploading schedule. But that being said, if you see a layout for a planner that you really, really like, I would recommend, if you're not able to print something out like this, then do what I did, get a ruler and do like basically a mock layout. It doesn't have to be exact, but it will be enough to give you an idea of whether or not that's going to work for you. So this was kind of fun to play with, but decided not to go with that for work or personal. And this is what I will be going with for my personal. And I want to kind of just break down why it works for me and what I'm going to do. So while I don't have the boxes like I do with the me layout, I still have enough room here that as long as I'm writing small, I can notate what the focus is for each row. This layout is called vertical columns. So you have all the same things on the left side, but these lines on here are what I drew with pen. You don't have any lines, they're just vertical columns. You don't have any you don't have any notations over here saying what each row is for. And then down here you have this section where again I kind of put like this is the priority I have to get done for this particular day. And then you have some 3 dots under each box in case there's things that you want to add to check off. I'm going to have to wrap up this video very quickly because I'm dying out here. Okay, anyways, so for write, I'm going to put that at the top. This is the only thing I plan on writing this week, so I notated it right there. Then we have film, edit, upload, home, and money. Now these, when they're not used, I would probably cover with stickers or just kind of ignore. It really just depends what mood I'm in. If I really want to focus just on the functionality and the planning, I usually don't do a whole lot of decorating. These boxes, I'm not entirely sure what I would do with. I think that this line is a great place to put like your highest priority of the day, but I don't know what I would quite do with the bottom part. But this is really where I would thrive. So I'm just going to start at the top and work my way down. So we've got write, which can go kind of under this line here. I've notated one thing I'm going to write. So for filming section, I have a movie review that I'm going to film. Actually, I was going to film, but I'm struggling to do this video, and I'm not even like set up with my face showing. So I don't know. That's going to have to be moved. But anyways, if I film it on Tuesday, I've got it over here for editing. So then on my next week for upload, it's probably going to go on Monday. So then I'm going to have a green sticky note on Monday to represent that being uploaded. I actually really love these particular Post-its. The only thing I'm not crazy about is, as you can see, there's only 5 colors. So I am thinking of switching to this, or I have another couple types that I can use. Now, if I don't have more than 5 videos on the page at a time, we're good, and I can kind of color code that way. But these are different than, these red and yellows are different than these red and yellows. So which ones I use kind of depends on how much I got going on for that particular week. But anyways, so I love the fact that not only does this give me a visual representation of how many videos I'm working on at once, obviously not filming that today, won't have time Wednesday, so I can just move this one right over here to Thursday. Boom. These are the kind of changes that have to happen if I'm overloaded with my work schedule, if something else comes up. Like, there just are so many changes that impact my YouTube schedule specifically, and I am constantly falling behind and missing my deadlines. So I've got to get more organized if I'm going to change that. So it's really important to me that I implement a system like this. The bottom sections I have are home and money. So I've got like laundry and dishes, cleaning the bathroom. Then down here, it's things like what bills I'm going to pay, things of that nature. But what I love about vertical columns is, since these rows are not like already printed for you, I can make this as big as I want. So let's say I used up this space and kept this the same, but I wanted this whole section to be money. I can eliminate this line right here and not have a home section. And then I've got all of this space just for anything I want to notate about money. Or let's say I'm completely caught up, I'm ahead of schedule, I'm set, I can kind of take a week off from YouTube. I don't even need all of this. So now I've got all of this space to work with that I can devote to something else. Since I'm not doing any YouTube this week, maybe I can focus on other things around the house, other things I need to plan, projects, things I've been wanting to go do. So this is just really the layout that works for my brain. I'm so happy with it. So if you're in a situation where you are trying to find out what layout is going to work for you, I would really recommend trying out that layout to see if it's going to work for you, because nothing's worse than getting a planner and being so excited about it and relying on it, and then you start working out of it and it's just like, oh, this isn't quite what I was looking for. And also, if you do YouTube, like, I would highly recommend this system. Like, obviously this is not for everybody, use whatever system works for you. But for those of us who need like a visual representation and also want things that they can move so they're not crossing things out and drawing arrows all over the place, I think this is just a great way to do it. The only problem with how I handled this week is I'm getting over being sick, and it's like, I have my voice and I'm not coughing, but like my throat, when I'm speaking consistently, constantly feels like it needs to cough, even though there's nothing left to cough up. So that's the issue I'm having this week. So everything I've planned here is kind of shot. But the point was really just to see how I could use this layout and whether or not it worked for me. So I'm pretty happy with the results. I'm not crazy about the Plum paper situation, so like I said, I will likely have to find something different for work for next year, but I have plenty of time to do that. As long as I have something picked out by like October or November of 2026, then I'm good. But I am really excited to order this.